Hey, Elle,
Hi, Selena. How are you?
we're about to be in business. Not yet. I'll let you know when we're live. I'm
Okay.
just watching it, doing the setup, redirecting. All right. Hey, yes, we are. We are live. Okay, okay, okay. This is super fantastic. Well, disruptors, thank you for being here. We are going to get right into it. My guest is LJ. She is a life coach, and we are going to talk about thriving beyond divorce. LJ, to kick this off, I always ask,
Mhm.
how do you show up in the world?
Oh, that's an awesome question. And I'm also a speaker and a life coach. Forgot to tell you the speaker part. I apologize.
No
So how
worries.
I show up in the world is I'm confident. I am powerful. I I I have like sometimes I have to put on a filter because I'm real open.
Oh, well, then we get along just fine, dear. Have you
All
met?
right.
I'm the disruptor coach. We disrupt some shit around here, girl.
Let's do it.
Let's
Let's do
do
it.
it.
And I love to smile. Got a big one. And I've been told it's very people like it. So I'm like, I like it too.
I love that for you. I love that. I love that. So, LJ, your name is L, so
Yeah, you can
if
just
I
call me Elle. Yes.
absolutely. Let me remind myself to do that because I really love hearing LJ saying LJ. It's fun to say. Miss L. So I've got my handy dandy questions here just so I don't get off track because sometimes I will. So to keep us honest, but when spirit leads me to go there, I will go there also.
Okay.
So another question that I love to ask, what did the disruptor in you have to disrupt?
I had to disrupt a lot of entrenched thinking, right? Like we're all conditioned from birth till whatever point we say we need to stir up some stuff. So that's what happened for me. I had to look inside myself and say, these things do not serve me anymore. They
Mhm.
got me to where I am. Thank you. Now, goodbye. And I'm still sometimes sometimes they come back and visit, but
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. It comes back and visit, be trying to stay.
right. It's like, no, I've been with you all my life. And I'm like, I don't need you anymore.
I
It's
know that.
over.
I know
Goodbye,
that's
doubts. Goodbye, negative thinking. Goodbye, all of that, and just really holding on to the things that do serve me and can stay with me for the rest of my life that I received foundationally.
absolutely. So, when you talk about that, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during and after your divorce? Can we go?
Well, go ahead.
I
Were you-
was saying, can we go there?
We can go there. Let's go there.
All
What
right.
were those challenges? All right. So I had a dream that I was going to be married for the rest of my life, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I wasn't, the challenge was aligning myself with where I'm going to go now. And so I had to take ownership of where I was and not just fall and just go in the sea and just drift, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I had to recognize what I thought I was going to have. I don't. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure, even though I felt that way. Even though I felt devastated, I felt unworthy, even. And like, okay, what are my children going to think? What's my family of origin going to think? Because my parents stayed married. Um, what's the church going to think? I was so focused on what other people thought that I didn't connect and take ownership of what I thought and what
Mm-hmm.
I wanted.
Sure. Okay. Wow. Um, that's so good, girl. I'm all in it. What strategy what strategies did you find helpful for coping with the emotional turmoil of divorce?
Initially, I didn't have any. I didn't have any strategies because when this happened, I was not familiar with coping skills. I wasn't familiar with even how to properly name emotions,
Mm-hmm.
to where I'm like, let's just stay in my head. Let's stick with the logic, stick with what's provable, what's factual, what I can see, what I can touch. Even though I also had a belief system in God, I
Right.
still depended on what I could see and what I could touch, because it was chaotic for me, right? It was new, it was different, it was big. So I, I think I kind of lost your question there.
It was what
Coping
strategies.
skill strategies, right?
Mhm.
So, what I ended up doing was reaching out for support, because I did not have the answers within myself. I
Mhm.
wanted to believe that I did, um, but I didn't have the answers within. I found a groups, and yes, there was an S on that, to be a part of, to where I didn't feel so alone.
Mhm.
And even so, therapy and coaching and support groups, to push me through. And there was
Mhm.
one group that, if anybody wants to ask me about, it was like a leadership experience. It
Okay.
was the most transformative experience ever, to
Mhm.
where we were able to get in there, hold each other accountable, give each other space without judgment, knowing that everyone has something going on, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
everyone needs the ability to try, like, it's this space where we're able to try to step into who we actually are, without somebody saying, "Oh, look at you, you failed, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you said you were changing." No,
Right.
this community allows that space to say, "Yeah, you failed, and I failed the other day, and let's keep moving." And that has been the most transformative thing in my life. And if anybody wants to know about that, please hit me up at Elle Jaye's LLC, and on Instagram, because I will definitely share that with you. It was the best experience ever.
Awesome. I love that for you. I love, love, love that for you that you were able to get the support and it sounds like the nurturing that you needed in that community. Would that be?
Oh, that's so accurate. Because a lot of times we think, okay, we're an adult, we can nurture ourselves, we're self-contained. We are
Mhm.
not. We are actually meant to be in community with others
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly.
and get that help, get someone to reflect back to us what they see from us, so that we can improve and continue to change and be who we intend to be. Because many times, in my experience with the divorce process and after,
Mhm.
I thought that I was walking a particular way, and I thought I was showing up a particular way. But
Mhm.
then, when getting in this community, they were able to say, "This is what you're actually doing." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" I didn't mean to. And just call me on my stuff.
I love that. So you are open to the feedback as well so that you could decide if you wanted to show up that way and ultimately do something different. Is that's what
Correct. And before I got there, I was doing the work myself.
right.
Um, in that, what I took ownership, right? And I said,
Mhm.
"Hey, took two people to get married, so it's taking two people for this to end.
Mm.
What was my role?" And I had to own that. And in owning that, it was ugly, which is why I said sometimes those things come back to visit,
Right.
because they were a part of me for such a long time. But when I owned it and had to admit to myself, this is what was happening, and I was able to do that kind of on my own to a particular point.
Be
But as
honest
I
with
said,
yourself. Mhm.
once I got into this leadership experience, I was able to go deeper, because I wasn't going to go deep by myself. I had people to help me to where I didn't get stuck in a particular place, kind of thing. So totally took that ownership.
I love that for you. Are you able to answer how long you were married?
Nearly 20 years.
Oh, wow, that's a really long time. Um, that's a really long time. Like when that's 2 decades. So, I'm curious in that because, like you said, you had been doing that for a long time. So, just to give the audience a sense of what a long time is. So, that's a long time. That's committed um, into what was actually happening and taking place in in those dynamics. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And
Let
so,
me let me also clarify that.
mhm.
A long time was actually my whole life
Mm,
because when we get married, we attract what's familiar. And when we're not aware of who we are and what we are attracting, we will attract what's familiar. And that's some of the what I'm saying that has been entrenched in me my whole entire life because it has nothing to it has something to do with the union because everything works together, right? Every single experience works. And by being in that uh, experience for that long before it was decoupled, that helped my awareness. That
mm,
helped me acknowledge, oh, this is why this happened. This is why I did that and I did this other thing. And I had to then get to a place of accepting and forgiving myself, which,
absolutely.
you know, you know, that's a ongoing process. Forgiveness of others and forgiveness of self.
So,
So
yeah.
I'm having to harmonize all of these things. So after I take ownership, I'm having to harmonize, okay, what happened in different stages and phases of my life that
Hmm.
led me to the different choices that I began to make.
Absolutely. This totally resonates with me, Elle. It sounds very much like my journey too. After getting divorced, I went inward to figure out like, how did I even end up here? Like, what's
Right.
going on with this situation? I know in my situation, spiritual warfare was at play, and it's crazy. It's like
Right. Which
you have,
is why my mother, God rest her soul. I miss her, love her, and she set me up for success. I didn't know that she was setting me up for success. Um, in that she taught me about having a relationship with God through Christ
mm-hmm.
and not so much religion, the legalistic, you
Absolutely.
should,
I love this.
because there was an instance where she defended me to her sister and because it was snowing outside and I wore pants. Okay, I was in college and I wore pants to church. And she told me that her sister called her and complained and told her to tell me not to wear pants to school. I'm like, dude, my mother's like 8 hours away. Why are you talking to her and not to me?
Yeah.
So anyway, my mother said, no, I asked her if you were at church hearing the word of God. And she was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, I'm good. And I was just like, yay, mom.
I
Because there were
know.
so many times I didn't see her do something like that. But to hear how she stood up for me, that helped my view of her.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And I love understanding because I could talk all day about this religious thing, and my views of that. And what's really important when you really go through something, I believe you come to understand that it is really not about religion, it is about the relationship. That's what's going to get you through the relationship that you do actually have with your Christ, your higher power, and who that is to you,
Mhm.
and not necessarily the
Putting
box.
it in a box.
Yes, yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So how did you figure out? So you said you didn't have any strategies and tips in the beginning for yourself. Do you have any now, and what do they look like?
Yes, strategies and tips now is just continuing to stay connected with support outside of myself,
Mm,
whether it is a counselor, a coach, and being in community with others. That has been vital.
mm,
And sometimes that community is not your blood because, you know, that can be too familiar. It's almost like you essentially become friends with your family and family with your friends.
mm-hmm.
And just being able to harmonize all of that, right? Because it's a different way of approaching life, a
Mm.
different way of it goes against, it disrupts
Yes,
the pattern of thinking that we've had
absolutely.
our whole entire life. So with that disruptive pattern, it helped me realize like, oh, wait, I can bounce back from this because I have a community of people sharing and reflecting back to me how I show up to them, even
Mm-hmm.
though I may not have believed it for myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's helped me rebound and bounce back. And I'm actually bouncing back better, right? And I know that might harken to some political stuff, but I am bouncing back better with myself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I've taken ownership. I've harmonized my thoughts, my actions, and getting my head and heart in
Yeah.
alignment. And all of that helps me to rebound and bounce back and recognize how resilient I am. I didn't know that.
I love it.
I was in the past because so much of what I was being fed and
Mm-hmm.
told was, hey, don't go to counseling. Counselors, they'll mess with your brain and things like that. And then now that I'm in counseling, I recognize the reason they said not to go because it would have disrupted the way in which thoughts were planted,
Mm-hmm.
ways in which um, interactions happened, right?
Right.
So from family of origin stuff is
Right.
what I'm talking about because I was dependent, the way they structured our family, it
Mm-hmm.
was hierarchical, you know, man is the head kind of thing, wife
Absolutely.
submits.
Absolutely.
And I never liked that structure. There was something um, incomplete with it.
I
Like it
can.
wasn't in alignment with what even God said in the Bible. You know what Paul said in the Bible about that structure. So that's why I've always struggled with it. Um,
Me too. Me too, girl.
so and I I will want to get married again. Don't get me wrong. But I want to get married to someone who really and truly understands what it means to be in partnership where both people are operating in their gifts.
I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're able to take ownership for what they have. They're able to harmonize their complete personhood. And when challenges come up, they are able to bounce back and rebound from it, right? And live as examples. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's my goal is I want to inspire my children to have a better life,
Yeah.
which is what my mother did for me.
Yeah.
And she didn't use words.
Girl. I love that. She lived it.
She lived it.
I love it.
And I want to follow that example. I did not before, actually. I was trying to do it myself.
Mm.
And I actually uninspired. It was uninspiring when I was trying to, control it, or I don't even know if the word is control. Might be manhandle, all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to then look in the mirror yet again and say, what am I doing?
Right.
What's my purpose? And is this really reaching the goal that I wanted to? And the answer was no. So I had to then reassess
Yeah.
and kind of go back through, take ownership. All right. Now that I'm taking ownership of this aspect, how do I harmonize that with where I'm going next?
Right.
And then being able to get to a place of bouncing back and say, oh yeah, I can do this. I'm resilient, and then get to that place where I can be the inspiration that I want to be for my children. Right.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. So resilient, you've mentioned that you're resilient a couple of times. What does resilient mean to you?
Well, what resilience means to me, and there is actually a different term, but I don't think too many people know what
Mhm.
it is yet, which is why I'm saying I'm bouncing back better, because that's actually better than resilience. It's more than. So, how I like to say what resilience is thinking about your couch, right? You go, you sit on your couch,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you get up, it returns back to its form,
Right.
right? But after time, you keep sitting on that couch, you lay on that couch does begin to sag and it doesn't bounce back. But what I am talking about when bouncing back is like I'm facing these challenges and I'm learning from them.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of my couch sinking in, what I'm learning is actually putting more support to where that couch is not going to sag no more or at all because I'm bouncing back and I'm putting structure and systems and things in place to where yeah, you can sit on me, you can try to stomp on me all you want to, but I've been learning. I've been going through the process of taking ownership and harmonizing, like getting rid of what doesn't serve me, bringing in what does, and
Mm-hmm.
keeping what does, harmonizing that with the new stuff. And then, you know, yep, I'm back here. And then you taking all of that, inspiring myself, inspiring my children,
Right.
inspiring those that are around me,
Right.
because the picture that I have, the visualization that I have in my mind
Yes.
is one where all of humanity can look at themselves in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
first, love themselves first, and say, I love me.
Mm-hmm.
I forgive me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect. And I have the ability to give someone else their freedom to just be who they are.
I love that.
And I don't have to control it. I can choose to say, yes, I want you in my life, or no, I don't. And put structures in place to say, okay, I can't not interact with you, whether I'm on a job or co-parenting or anything that where some things are kind of be outside of your control.
Right.
In those circumstances and situations, because I've taken ownership and I've harmonized within myself and I recognize my
Mm-hmm.
ability to bounce back and I can look in the mirror and inspire myself and tell myself what it is that I want. And then I can visualize, okay, even though this relationship I can't walk away from,
Right.
what is possible? What can happen there? And by doing that, I'm empowered. I have empowered myself
I love that.
through taking ownership, harmonizing, rebounding, inspiring, visualizing, and ultimately, I'm empowered. And not only that, as I do that, I am empowering others. It's not all about me, but because I started with me first, I love myself first, to where somebody can try to call me selfish if they want to, but that's what they want to. I know what the truth is.
Awesome.
because I own me. I own my vision. I own the gift that God put inside of me.
I love that.
And
It
I'm going to give other people the free will to be who they are.
I love that. I love that. This is so rich. So I'm taking notes when you see me writing.
Looking
So
down.
yeah, so resilience for you is facing your what's going on, learning, you've put in support in place, you bouncing back. Harmonizing is my favorite word. It's one of my favorite words because it's integrating. Most people like to say balance, but it's really harmonizing, right?
Right, right.
You're harmonizing with the new, all of the new that's coming. So you've gone, you resilient then to me, based upon what you said, equals empowered, from empowered to empowering others. That's so beautiful, Elle. So many things went through my mind, and how we are connected in so many ways in our journeys. It feels like this journey that you've been through also has led potentially to your life coaching. Is that, or were you already life coaching? How do we get there?
Yeah. So getting there is everything that I've been through wasn't only for me. And if you like, hopefully people have caught that I've actually spelled out thrive. You take ownership, you harmonize, you rebound, you inspire,
Ah,
you visualize, and you empower. That's thrive.
I love that.
And that's why I am putting together the Thriving Beyond Divorce Summit, where a discovery of the secrets to cultivating financial and emotional stability.
Tell
I,
us more.
yeah, there's over 20 experts that that people get to join the conversation and listen to. It's free, it's virtual. If we can drop that somewhere in the comments or caption of this show, that would be great. Where um, I wanted to put together a resource that I did not have
Mhm.
when I got divorced, because I was divorced. Um, and then the pandemic hit. Everything was closed down. There was not resource, it wasn't easy to get connected with others
Mhm.
because of the pandemic. So I was doing a lot of this research myself, trying to just search it out myself, right?
Gotcha.
Different kinds of groups and different community members. But the main thing in these communities, what they had in common was
Hmm.
people struggling but wanting to get to a place of strength, wanting to get to a place of power. And that's where I was, that's where I was going.
Right.
So we just kind of joined in together. Some fulfilled their purpose early on and dropped off. Others, I've still been hanging on. Um, but I wanted to create a community for others, particularly mothers. Not, you don't have to be a divorced mother, because um, mothers are mothers, right? There's struggles being a mother, period.
Hmm.
And I don't want there to be that comparison between, well, I'm a married mother, I have more support and more structure, versus a divorced mother, not so much. Well, my mother was married,
Hmm.
and she still struggled. There were sometimes it felt like she was a single mother because of the way, because of the structure of the household, you know.
Hmm.
So I think we have more in common than not. So I want all women, all mothers to thrive, to
Um,
recognize who they are, right? And understand their power, understand their ability to bounce back, and not as a rebellion, no,
right.
but to have conversations with themselves first and figure out, okay, what is it that I want? Because I saw my mother lose her identity and just fall into the roles of wife and mother.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew. Like, I didn't know what she loved or what she liked or anything, because she was like, oh, it was more like serving us and serving the spouse.
Right. Right.
That was how she was conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
And, but she did the best she could with what she had. So I can get upset and mad at it, but then I also have to come back in and just put it in perspective. And that's what I want to give every woman that enters my thriving program is to gain perspective,
Mm-hmm.
not beat yourself up, not hold on to patterns that don't serve you. And it is a process. But when you realize and start recognizing who you are, you're like, huh, step, I'm sure, step, sure again. And then, you know, you get to that place and you can start running and be who you are, inspire your children, don't helicopter them and put unnecessary things on them,
Yeah.
learn how to play and let some things go that you think are beneficial, but not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, gaining perspective.
This is so rich. This is so rich, Elle. Whew, girl. Um, Tell us harmonize again. So it's take ownership. I mean, thrive. Take
Yeah,
ownership,
harmonize,
harmonize, mhm,
rebound,
rebound. Okay. And what's the I?
inspire,
Inspire. Like you're doing for all of us right now. And what's the V?
visualize,
Visualize. And then our E,
empower.
empower. Wow. I'm going to make sure that that's included in the caption as well. To take ownership, harmonize, rebound, inspire, visualize, and empower to thrive. I also dropped in the chat the deets on the uh,
Thriving.
Thriving Beyond Divorce Summit. Discover secrets to cultivating financial and emotional stability.
Yes.
Uh, you want to tell us a little bit more about that, the details, when it's starting, all that
Yes.
stuff,
So
or
yes, it begins actually Tuesday, October 15th. It is a pre-recorded summit. So you sign up and you will be emailed the recordings. And we're starting out with a grief expert because when you get divorced, there's a whole flood of emotions.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of times we don't give space to grieve a divorce because a divorce is a death. It's the death of dreams. It's the death of some expectations. Um, so it's necessary to grieve that and give yourself that space, even if others don't characterize it as that. It's your
mm-hmm,
life. You get to take ownership of it and move forward with that. And then we have, if I remember correctly, the next person is a financial um, expert who
mm-hmm.
has a power tool strategy, and she herself understood the need to create a space for women to get their finances in order to support them in that because
I love
she
it.
herself got divorced and she had to learn how to work power tools, right? So
Oh,
that's and I resonate with that because I had to figure out how to work a lawnmower. I was like, dang it. I wanted my dad to teach me how to mow the lawn, but he had this belief that, oh, your husband will do it.
mm-hmm,
And what
mm-hmm,
if, So I had to learn, research that and figure out how to use a lawnmower. And when it comes to divorce, what I
yes.
really want to share here is
Mm-hmm.
it is the husband wife relationship that's over. The
Mm-hmm.
family is not broken. The husband wife relationship is over.
That's
The
good.
family is not broken.
Tell us more. Say more.
The reason I say that is, there's so many books out there to help people through divorce who have children.
Mm-hmm.
And the books are awesome. They're great. There's one that's actually called Mom's House, Dad's House.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal book, right? Um, and it really, truly, it helped with some perspective. So read. As you take ownership, read some books. So with that, as I read that and I was functioning, oh, you'll be going to your dad's house. You'll be coming home to my house. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. The children don't own anything in that sentence. So from the perspective, I had to then shift my perspective to that of my children and say, your family is restructured.
Right. Okay.
And because from the perspective of the children, barring any legalities and all that other stuff, they have both of their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So their family still exists. It's
Absolutely.
just structured differently.
That's good.
And what I do purposefully is say, you are going to your house with your dad, and you are coming, or excuse me, your home with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to be coming home with me. And they may still say mom's house, dad's house, your house, his house kind of thing.
Right.
Um, that's fine if they do that and everybody else does. But I want to be intentional with the words that I use so that my children recognize they belong in both places.
Right. I love that. I love that. This is woo. Okay. This is so powerful, Elle.
It was
So
hard. I'm not going to lie about that one. That one
yeah.
was hard because I'm like, oh, I don't, because all the energy, the emotion around having this situation happen. I'm not going to lie to people on that, but I have felt so much better by, again, I started with me,
Right.
right? And said, if I was a child in the midst
Mm-hmm.
of this, watching, feeling all of the energy going on between
Right.
that those two separated, no longer together, former spouses who just happened to be my parents. Um, if so, I stepped into their shoes in a sense and just said, "Huh, no, I think I'd rather recognize that I want my children to recognize they belong both places. They
Yeah.
need both of their parents. They deserve to have a relationship with both of their parents."
I love that for them. And for you to own your power, take ownership in it all, to disrupt and understand that it doesn't need to look like everything else
Yeah, it
um,
doesn't.
that society would have us believe in maintaining status quo. I feel like in a lot of ways, maintaining status quo is what keeps us in bondage and keep us in places that no longer serve us longer than we need to be um,
Right. And
as well.
I've heard um like the whole thing of being true to yourself, being true to what's real, what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Well, if you begin to step back and visualize and see what's possible,
Mm-hmm.
like, is it possible that you, as the person owning where your life is going,
Right.
is it possible to do something different? To stand out from the crowd and from that big societal conditioned space and find a space where there are others who have a similar mindset to you to say, okay, I'm not going to call this a broken family. I'm going to call it a restructured family. And I'm going to
Absolutely.
tell my children that they are going to their home with their dad, no matter how I feel about him. And I'm going to tell my children they're going home to their mom, no matter how I feel about her. Because who matters? Children. The
Children.
children matter. And I am a big proponent of, if by serving mothers, that will lead to children who are inspired to
Absolutely.
be different because their mothers are showing them how to own their part in a situation,
Mm-hmm.
make the whatever corrections that they need to, and harmonize that within themselves,
Yeah.
bounce back and say, hey, yes, I have to forgive myself, I have to forgive the person who I believe harmed me, and see something different for my life and step
Absolutely.
into my power. So
Absolutely.
not only are the mothers thriving, they are creating children who will be able to thrive from jump.
Yes. Oh, this is so rich, girl. So, so rich. Um, wow. I love this. Let's take a a little bit of a U-turn.
Okay.
I would love for people to I'd like to ask a couple of personal questions just to help the audience know a little bit more about you.
Okay.
And um this is so rich. You talked about the book Mom's House, Dad's House. And I always like to ask what resources, books, podcasts that you would recommend that change your life or had a major impact on your life?
Well, Amazon was my friend. Like, I bought books on how the brain worked. I bought books on how to discipline children, um, how to close generational gaps
Mm,
that exist from one person to the next, how to interact with
hmm
different different kinds of personalities.
mm.
Um, yeah,
That's
and
that's
I
what.
went.
Hmm
Oh, the other one that was my friend, because I told you I didn't understand what emotions were, right? So
hmm
I found books and things on emotions and reading them, connecting with, okay, the descriptions of it. And I made sure to purchase books for my children as well to help them get introduced to emotions early. Um, and then about meditating as well. Like, what is that? Because I know in being a follower of Christ, some people think that that's like outside of,
mm.
that relationship with Christ, but it's actually not, because if you read the Bible, it actually says meditate. Anyways,
And
so
and
I didn't
Jesus
understand
would
what that
go
was.
by himself all the time.
Pardon?
I said Jesus would go by himself all the time to do that,
Yes, indeed. So
and showed emotions.
I know that
Right?
was yeah, that was the other thing that you're going to get me into a place where I could talk forever, because I love what I discovered in reading the Bible, right? Again, it's
Ashe.
because of my mother. She always said that when you read it one time, you'll get one thing. You read it again, you get something else, right?
That's why they
So
call it
as
the living word.
yes, it is straight up alive. So
Mhm.
after going through the challenge of restructuring my family, I
Yeah.
was reading the Bible differently. And I began to see how Jesus was really showing us how to live and giving
Mhm.
us those principles about how to live on this earth, how to
Mhm.
interact with others. And
Ooh, girl, you preaching up here today.
he threw, I don't know if this is right or not, but he threw so much shade on the people who were religious that it wasn't funny. The thought that came to me today was about when they brought the woman that they caught in prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus didn't say anything because the thing is, she was caught in prostitution, right? People saw what she was doing. Jesus just stooped down and started writing in the dirt. My thing is, he was fully God and fully man.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, okay, if he started writing down what other people were doing but didn't get caught
Mm-hmm.
in, which is why they had to put their stones down and walk away.
Ooh.
That was a thought because Jesus was real. He was even real with his disciples because they were arguing, oh, you didn't bring the bread, you didn't bring the bread. And Jesus was like, didn't I just feed 5,000? Didn't you see me do that? And y'all are worried about physical bread. That's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, so, and then from the perspective of females not feeling like they're in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
I read the story about Samson in Judges,
Mm-hmm.
and the angel of the Lord appeared to Samson's mother first.
Mm.
And I was like, wait a minute, why am I just not recognizing that? He 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 did. So Samson's mother went and told her husband, hey, this is what the angel of the Lord said. And her husband's like, tell him to come back and bring him to me if he comes back to you. The angel of the Lord appeared to her first again. She brought him to her husband, and her husband was like, prove it. In so many words. And then he's like, oh, well, you're saying that, let me tell me your name so I can burn an offering for you and all these different things. And the angel of the Lord was like, nah, just trying to protect him from himself. Then he was like, okay, fine, do the burnt offering. He did the burnt offering, and the angel of the Lord went up in the smoke. Samson's dad panicked and said, we're all gonna die. We're going to die. We're going to die. And Samson's mother, presence of mind, and said, he made a promise that I'm barren and I'm going to have a child. So
Mm-hmm.
why would he tell us that promise and then kill us when he flies up in the smoke, kind of thing? So that right there lets me know that in a marriage, that there may be times where one person may panic,
Mm-hmm.
lose all kinds of conscious rationalization, and the
Right.
other has to bring them back. And it was a woman who did it. Okay. And if he didn't believe her, he wouldn't have laid with her, and Samson wouldn't have ever existed. So they worked together in that. Um, so that was helpful for me to see,
Yeah.
you know, how, and there's so many other stories that I could go on and on about,
Absolutely.
um, but just seeing the cohesion between Old and New Testament, seeing the relationships that are present that we learn from other people's experiences. So the Bible is a great coach, you know, um, but now there's also real life experiences from others that you can learn from. And that's what I would like to be for mothers, to be that living example that's real time, current, contemporary, to show, yeah, you can make it through it. It will be challenging, but once you take ownership of yourself and recognize you are not being selfish, but you're actually doing what Jesus said: love God, love your neighbor as you love
I
yourself.
think so. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
When I heard that, there was a person, I went to a conference and there was a person talking about loving yourself first, right? I thought he was going to get struck down and taken to hell because because I was because I was conditioned to believe that you don't love yourself first. Okay.
I,
But he planted that seed. And all of these years, it kept getting watered and fertilized. And then my eyes got opened to see, no, that is really and truly what Jesus said, you know?
yeah, that gets gleaned over
Right. That,
a
that
lot.
prepositional phrase, there's a lot that happens in prepositional phrases. in the Bible, but we stop because we see the preposition.
Girl, girl, girl.
So,
Let me just recap. So on the books, is there any name or author of the books that you feel that people should read that you would recommend? Because you had a number, How the Brain Works, Parent Children, Close the Gap, um, How to Interact with Different Personalities, books on emotions, and then the books that you share with the children as well on emotions. Are there any particular titles that stood out?
um, I can say that. Okay. Well, excuse me, name dropping here. Brene Brown, awesome on the emotions, and her like the special that was on Max.
Oh,
Um, the yeah, it was an awesome special or show. Can't wait. Hopefully she brings something else back, but I love it. And then Dr. Cloud and Henry Townsend, um, and Dr. Townsend. Of course, they did the Boundary book. They also did, I think they also both did Safe People. Um,
I've read that. Safe People. And who did, there's another one, Grief Recovery too. Safe People, that's good. Okay.
I believe Grief Recovery is an actual program,
And
and I
about,
don't
yeah.
remember that author, but I did go through that as well because I've lost both of my parents in the midst of all this too. So, um, didn't even touch that one. But and then Dr. Cloud had a book called Necessary Endings. That
Okay.
one rocked my world. Like, mm-mm. So so many things. Um, so many things. I can't remember some of the other authors, but I
These
just
are really good to give people something that have been on a similar journey, um, if they're not yet ready for coaching, uh,
mhm.
to kind of help them through. What was the name of Brene Brown's book, or was it just the special?
No, she has a book on heart, something with heart in it. I
Okay,
apologize,
no
but
worries.
it
That's enough
it
to go
listed
on.
a lot of emotions in there. And then for the children, there were spot books, and then I forgot this other one, but it had like a dragon and a boy in it, and then some books about like affirming yourself for
Hmm.
children. I don't remember all of the those authors and book titles, but
No worries, we can get them
trying
on.
to really um, support, like allow my children access to things so that they knew
Absolutely.
early on.
This is beautiful. I think it's so beautiful for you and for the children that, um, you were providing what they needed during a tumultuous time for you all, or tender time, I would say,
Yes.
for you all. And then I love what you said. The Bible is a great coach. Okay. Okay. This is great. Where can folks find you? Where can
Um,
they connect with you?
they can connect with me on Instagram at Elle Jay's LLC, and that's ELLEJAYES LLC on Instagram.
I love it. Love it. All right. All right. So before we go, I like to ask my guests one last question.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
That's a fantastic question. As what led you to create Disrupt Her Coaching?
My own journey, after divorce. I was married to a narcissist, and in that marriage, spiritual warfare was definitely at play, and I lost myself. I was disconnected from myself. I didn't know who I was as that married woman. I was really working to be a good Christian, a good wife, all of those things. And I lost myself in the process. And we were running a business. And after, and all the things, I felt the same way. It- your story feels like,
Similar.
yeah, a lot of what I went through. And in the end, the demonic presence showed itself to me. I
Hmm.
kept knowing that something was off, but I did not know what it was. But once he finally got out of the house, the demonic presence showed itself. And I went inward. I went inward. I created a war room, a prayer closet. One day it was a war room, one day it was a prayer closet because being disconnected from yourself, I felt like I was no longer hearing from my spirit. Like
Hmm.
because I had been doing things going against what I knew for the sake of the marriage and compromising. It felt like I was playing chess all the time.
Right.
And I wanted to get close to my higher power, to God. I wanted to hear what the Lord had to say to me in all of this because when I got married, I thought the Lord was speaking, and now it's like because I would be praying at night when
Hmm.
crazy stuff would be happening during the marriage. I'm like, Lord, this could not be what you had in mind for me. This could not. It was not making no sense. And I know that I was showing up and doing all the things that um, was asked of me. And according to, like you said, I personally, after going through that marriage and all of those things, I realized a number of things. One, that I am responsible for my own happiness, right?
Yes.
Society has you believing that everybody's going to show up on a white horse or something and they're going to make you happy. That's not true. You are responsible. If everybody is minding their own business, which they should be, because there's three types of business. There's God's business,
Right.
it's my business, and there's your business. And if we're all minding our own business, we know because the way the society has us believing it now, it's outside of us.
Right.
And it is not. It is within. Peace is within. All that we need is within us. And so it's a lot to unlearn,
It
right?
is. It is a lot to unlearn.
Unpack, and that's what I see in your journey. And so in that, as I had lost myself, I realized that I needed me, someone to show up for me like I was showing up for everybody else to kind of help me and get through it. I had a church family. That's where I saw modeled the war room. They had a prayer room in their
Right.
and I went home and I made me a prayer room. I took everything out of the storage closet and it was in the center of the house so it could be quiet and still in there and I could just hear and eliminate all the outside noise and distraction. And
Hmm.
that started that journey. And then I took on my first life coach. And when I did that, I realized that coaching was a profession. I had been coaching all those years for more than 30 years for free,
Free. Mm.
free. And I wanted to know more. I wanted to help other people. And so my first clients that I served were Christian women
Hmm.
that had cut ties after narcissistic or toxic relationships
Hmm.
so that they could, I can't remember all of what it was, but so that they could really come to know themselves and
Right.
love themselves and become themselves because they were everything for everyone else and um, had not known how to be themselves, who they really were, their divine essence and purpose. And so in that, disruptor coaching was born. It didn't start out as disruptor coaching, but that's really what it was because I wanted to disrupt the
Right.
notion and the belief around the male patriarchy in Christianity and the Western culture and the Western culture and the Bible that we read today. I never saw myself in it.
Right.
And 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 I believe it is what holds women hostage and in bondage. I believe that there is a such thing as narcissistic Christianity, narcissistic Christians. I think the biggest proponent of that and why women suffer is based on Christianity, their religion, and what they believe. That's just me personally. So I
I
know that's not a popular opinion.
I got you. Well, here's what I have to kind of coincide with that, if that's okay.
Absolutely, honey.
All
That's just a
right.
whole conversation. Let's talk about
Yeah,
it.
let's talk it out. So, where I come with that is, as I said, I have a relationship with God through
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ, right? And the scripture says that I don't want to be one of those like Bible thumping people. I'm just
You
kidding, but
can
the scripture says,
be yourself.
be myself. Anyway, so again, relationally is what this is about. If he came, died on a cross, and um, to set us free, right? I think that's what the Bible says.
Say it,
Um,
girl.
and if he said that he's going to set us free, why is it that when we get married, we don't believe we're free anymore? Because we're under the dude. Um, I think there's something that needs to be reconciled there with the way it's taught, because I don't believe, I
Absolutely.
think there's something missing in that teaching.
Absolutely.
So, because I
Definitely
am,
bad teaching.
yeah, I'm not advocating that the order in which Paul was talking about in the Bible, that that's wrong. I'm saying our approach to it is wrong. We're misaligned somewhere. Something is not accurate. And mind you, in my program, when it comes to, I have no problem with associating with people who do not believe the same way I do,
Mhm.
because that's what Jesus did. He associated with people who didn't believe the same way he did. Um, and to me, there's no problem with that. I have people in my family that are Buddhists, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys are really good at meditating. Help me understand it,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely.
And so rather than looking at differences or trying to tell somebody where they're going to spend eternity, that's not my job. My job is to be life and to love my neighbor as I love myself. And if I want somebody to love me and leave me alone and let me think what I want to think, then I want to do the same for somebody else.
Absolutely.
Okay. But my belief system, I don't want it to be a turnoff with working with me, because I appreciate everybody where they're at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are such a beautiful light. Um, Disruptors out there, you know how we do this and why we do this, so that if a coach is called to you, they might be the person that is for you. And so that is really why we open up this space, so that if you hear their voice and you know that they are your coach, reach out to Elle. If she resonates with you, her life experience and story to help you on your journey, um, the support and accountability is there. We're going to have all of the details in the description box on YouTube. We will also, throughout the week, there will be short clips of the conversation that we've had as well, with the same information for you to connect with her. Don't sleep on the summit. Let me pull it up so I get the details right. She has the Thriving Beyond Divorce Summit, Discover Secrets to Cultivating Financial and Emotional Stability. Register for free. It's going down October 15th through October 25th.
Yes.
So don't miss it. There is a link out there. I also dropped it in the chat on this YouTube video as well. So you can find it there. Reach out to Elle on Instagram at Elle Jaye's LLC. And also see what other goodness she has out there for you. We'll also share the names of those beautiful books. That's our time. I'm your
Oh,
girl,
can I
Selena.
say one more thing?
Absolutely.
One more thing. Okay. So, because this summit is kicking off beginning on Wednesday, I want to provide an opportunity for a few people, and you've got to act fast on this. And Selena, please put this in the chat as well. It is a
Absolutely.
thriving call. All right. It's a free, normally a 197 value, but I'm going to gift it to you for I think it's 6 people. It's only 6 people who can do this. And you got to move fast because it's only a few days this upcoming week. So please jump on, take advantage of the complimentary strategy call with me where we can develop what your strategy can be for thriving. And I just wanted to also give that to your audience, the opportunity to your audience for those that really want to. There's only 6 spaces though. So
Oh,
hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and book a call with me, 30 minutes, um, complimentary.
I love that. I've dropped that in the chat as
Thank
well,
you.
and it'll be on the description of this video.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. Until next time, we meet back here every Sunday at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. We are working to get our subscribership up. This is our main channel to interact and connect with you. I also am looking for additional coaches to come to the conversation and have conversations. So if you're a coach out there and you're listening, just click the podcast link. You can find it if you're on Instagram, it's there. I will also have it in the description as well, that you can be a podcast guest. So we look forward to it. Elle, before we get out of here, is there anything else you would like to say to the people?
Hopefully, you got to understand and know me and see my personality. Anyways, I really do have a heart to for others to recognize their power, take ownership, harmonize everything that is going on with them within themselves, so that they can show up and bounce back from all the challenges. Because in life, that's what we all face. We face challenges, but within there's value that we can extract out and use it to inspire others, whether we inspire ourselves, our children, coworkers, and whatnot. That is possible, and we will visualize that possibility moving forward and continue to empower ourselves and others around us. And that enables us to thrive beyond insert whatever challenge you have right there.
I love that. I love that. So y'all get at Miss L, Coach L, so she can really help you thrive beyond divorce.
Yes.
I Go ahead,
Oh,
dear.
and if anyone needs a speaker, I do that too.
Awesome. Awesome. And what would you be speaking on if they needed a speaker? What would be the topic?
It falls in line with thriving, owning your power, being resilient, being examples.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, that's our time. Um, and I'm your girl, the disruptor coach. I help support women struggling to get their shit together so that they can have financial and time freedom and live a life they love. Keep that in mind.
Thank you